The sun rises over the Texas horizon, casting a golden glow over the sprawling Grayson Ranch, a peaceful haven nestled near the US-Mexico border. Rolling hills stretch into the distance, the scent of fresh hay lingers in the crisp morning air, and the rhythmic pounding of hooves echoes across the open pastures. Sturdy barns house some of the finest horses in the state, not just any horses, but highly trained retired police mounts, once part of elite law enforcement units. These animals, known for their discipline, intelligence, and strength, are far from ordinary livestock. At the heart of this ranch stands Sam Grayson, a seasoned former Texas Ranger with a commanding presence. His sharp blue eyes scan the horizon as he sips his morning coffee, his weathered hands resting on the wooden railing of the porch. Though retired, his instincts remain razor-sharp. The ranch has become his sanctuary, a place where he trains horses, mentors troubled youth, and instills the values of hard work and honor in those who cross his path. Beside him is Elena Grayson, his daughter, and a skilled veterinarian. With her long auburn hair tied back, she moves among the horses with effortless grace, tending to their needs with a level of care and respect that goes beyond mere duty. To her, these animals are more than just working creatures. They are family. Surrounding them is a team of loyal ranch hands, each with their own story. There's Miguel, a former cartel member who turned his back on the violent lifestyle to seek an honest living. His past is a dark one, but under Sam's guidance, he's found redemption, proving that people can change if given the right chance. The rest of the team consists of hard-working men and women who have become more than just employees. They're a family, bonded by the land and a shared purpose. But beyond the serene ranch life, danger looms. Across the border, Santiago El Fuego Rivera, a ruthless Mexican cartel leader, sets his sights on expanding his power into U.S. territory. Rivera's organization thrives on smuggling, weapons, drugs, and even people. But recently, he's expanded into horse trafficking, stealing prized animals for illegal racing circuits and black market sales. The cartel operates with impunity, believing that no one is untouchable, not even an old Texas Ranger. Unbeknownst to Sam, cartel scouts have already begun surveying the ranch. Small incursions occur, strange footprints found near the fences, supplies going missing from storage sheds, the eerie feeling of being watched. Miguel senses it first. They're testing the waters. Miguel warns Sam one evening, his dark eyes scanning the tree line. First, they take little things. Then, they take something bigger. Sam listens, his jaw tightening. He's dealt with criminals his whole life, but this time, it's different. This is his home, his family, his horses. Then, one fateful night, trouble finally arrives. The ranch is quiet, bathed in moonlight, the distant howl of a coyote breaking the silence. Sam is dozing in his armchair, a shotgun resting nearby, an old habit he never let go of. A sudden noise from the stables jolts him awake. Elena hears it too. A rustling, a low, nervous whinny. She grabs a flashlight and rushes out, her heart pounding. Sam follows close behind, his hand instinctively resting on his holster. When they reach the stables, one of the stalls is empty. The gate swings slightly in the wind, the lock broken. The fresh hoofprints in the dirt lead toward the border. One of their prized horses is gone. Sam crouches down, his fingers brushing over the disturbed dirt. He's seen this before, tracks made in a hurry, signs of multiple men working quickly. This wasn't just an accident. It was a theft. Elena's face pales. Who would steal a police-trained horse? Sam clenches his fists, his mind already working through the possibilities. Then, his eyes flicker toward the old ranger badge sitting on the shelf near the stable door. He hasn't worn it in years, but tonight, something in him stirs. If they think they can take from us and walk away, he mutters, his voice low and steady, they've got another thing coming. Morning breaks over Grayson Ranch, but the usual sense of peace is gone. The horses seem restless, their ears flicking toward the fence line. Something is wrong. As Sam and Elena step outside, they spot a dark figure near the outer fence. At first, it appears lifeless, but as they get closer, the grim reality sets in. It's the stolen horse. Elena gasps, her hands flying to her mouth. The horse lies on its side, lifeless, its powerful body marred by a fresh, burned brand, a crude skull symbol seared into its flank. Miguel exhales sharply. That's El Fuego's mark. This wasn't just theft. This was a warning. Sam's expression hardens. He kneels beside the fallen horse, running his fingers over the brand. They didn't just steal it. They tortured it, then dumped it here like garbage. This is their way of telling us to back off. Miguel continues. But that's not how this works. Now that they've done this, they won't stop. Elena clenches her fists, her grief giving way to anger. They think they can intimidate us? Her voice shakes. They have no idea who they're dealing with. Sam straightens up. His mind is already working. This is war now. That night, the ranch goes into full lockdown. The perimeter fences are reinforced. Patrols double, with armed ranch hands taking turns watching over the property. The stable doors are fortified, and extra floodlights are installed. Miguel and a few trusted men take shifts patrolling on horseback, rifles slung over their shoulders. But Sam knows something else. The cartel expects fear. They expect submission. Instead, they'll get something else entirely. The cartel made one critical mistake. They underestimated the horses. To them, horses are just livestock. Something to steal, to sell, to break. But these horses? These were warriors once. Under Elena's care, the horses are more than just well-trained. They're disciplined, battle-tested mounts that once carried officers into riots, high-pressure urban chases, and crowd dispersal operations. Elena gathers the ranch hands for a demonstration. The remaining horses, massive, muscular creatures with keen intelligence, stand at attention, awaiting orders. "Watch this," Elena says. She gives a short, sharp whistle. The horses immediately react, forming a tight phalanx, just as they were trained to do in riot control. People think horses are just dumb animals, Elena explains. But these, they're trained for war. They can push back against crowds, follow commands without hesitation, and if someone tries to steal them, she nods toward one of the stable hands, who approaches cautiously and reaches for a stallion's bridle, mimicking a thief trying to mount. The horse reacts instantly. It rears up, knocking the man backward, its powerful front hooves slamming into the dirt inches from his chest. It bares its teeth, prepared to bite, its muscles coiled in a stance of defiance. Elena smiles. They don't take kindly to strangers. Miguel watches in awe. The cartel's not ready for this. And they aren't. That night, El Fuego's men return, this time, in force. The night is thick with tension, a heavy silence settling over the ranch. Miguel, on patrol, catches movement in the distance, figures slipping through the brush, moving toward the stables. He doesn't need to confirm it. They're back. The cartel enforcers, thinking the first theft was too easy, have brought reinforcements. 5 men, masked and armed, move quickly toward the horse pens. Their plan? Take as many horses as they can, kill anyone who gets in their way. They don't expect what happens next. The first thief slips into a stall, whispering in Spanish, trying to soothe the massive horse inside. He grabs the reins, ready to lead it out. The horse suddenly jerks, throwing its head back and slamming its skull into the man's nose. A sickening crack echoes in the stall as blood sprays. The second cartel member manages to mount a horse, only for the trained stallion to rear up violently, throwing him to the ground like a rag doll. Before he can get up, a powerful hoof stomps down on his leg, snapping bone. Screams cut through the night. Another enforcer reaches for his gun, but a black mare lunges at him, sinking its teeth into his shoulder and dragging him backward. It's chaos. The police horses fight back. The remaining 2 enforcers scramble to escape, dragging their injured comrades with them. They barely make it past the fence before gunfire rings out. Sam and the ranch hands firing warning shots into the air. The cartel flees, humiliated and furious. Elena strokes the neck of one of the stallions, a knowing smile on her lips. They thought this would be easy, she murmurs. They have no idea who they're messing with. The night is still and heavy, an eerie calm before the coming storm. The ranch lights flicker, casting long shadows over the fields. But Sam, Elena, and Miguel aren't fooled. They know what's coming. Then, in the distance, the low rumble of engines. Miguel stands on the porch, eyes narrowing. They're coming. Elena grips her rifle. Let them. Moments later, a convoy of cartel trucks roars onto the ranch, their headlights cutting through the dark like predatory eyes. Armed men pour out, their boots crunching on the gravel. El Fuego has had enough of failures. This isn't a raid, it's an invasion. The cartel leader himself steps out of the largest truck, tall, broad-shouldered, and ruthless, his face twisted with anger. His men fan out, weapons raised, their intention clear. El Fuego glares at Sam. "Old man, you should have taken the warning." His voice drips with malice. "But now, we're taking everything." Sam stands tall, his stance unwavering. "You can try." El Fuego grins. "Burn it all." Cartel soldiers move toward the stables, intent on taking the horses. But Sam and his men are ready. The stable doors burst open, not from the cartel, but from within. Massive, trained police horses charge out, their powerful hooves slamming against the dirt as they rush toward the enemy. The first cartel gunman barely has time to react before a stallion barrels into him, sending him flying. Another man lifts his gun, only to have a horse rear up, striking him in the chest with bone-crushing force. The ranch hands, armed and ready, take cover behind fences and barrels, firing back. Bullets whiz past, some hitting their marks, others embedding into the wooden beams of the barn. Miguel leaps onto a horse, drawing his rifle and galloping toward the chaos. He fires from the saddle, taking out a cartel enforcer aiming for Elena. Elena, meanwhile, uses the terrain to her advantage. She moves swiftly through the shadows, circling behind the attackers. Her mind races. She knows this land better than anyone. She leads several gunmen toward the corral, where she's set up a trap. The second they step inside, a deafening crack. The gate slams shut behind them. The horses inside, trained for riot control, immediately react. A cartel soldier tries to escape. A mare rears up, knocking him flat. Another scrambles for his gun. A stallion kicks it from his hand. The last man is frozen in fear as the massive animals close in on him. Elena smirks. "Hope you boys like close quarters." Outside, the battle rages on. Sam ducks behind cover, returning fire with deadly precision. He may be retired, but his Texas Ranger instincts are as sharp as ever. El Fuego, growing frustrated, shouts, "Stop playing! Kill them all!" He gestures to his men, and they unleash an all-out assault. But they weren't expecting the final line of defense. The ranch gates slam open. A second wave of trained police horses charges forth, ridden by armed ranch hands. The gunfire slows as the cartel realizes they're losing. But El Fuego refuses to retreat. He grabs a hostage, Sam. "Drop your weapons," he growls, pressing a gun to Sam's head. The ranch hands freeze. Miguel, panting from the fight, suddenly locks eyes with one of the cartel members. His cousin, the man he grew up with, the man who never left the life Miguel abandoned. Miguel's heart pounds. Carlos. Carlos hesitates, gun raised. "Miguel, you should have stayed with us." Miguel steps forward. "And you should have left." For a second, there's a flicker of recognition. Then, El Fuego screams in rage. Enough of this. He pulls the trigger. A shot rings out. But it's not Sam who falls. A shadow moves. A horse, trained, disciplined, lunges, knocking El Fuego off balance just enough. Sam breaks free, twisting the gun from El Fuego's grip. Miguel, without hesitation, spins and fires. Carlos collapses, a look of regret in his eyes. The remaining cartel enforcers realize it's over. Sam, Elena, Miguel, and the ranch hands launch their final counterattack, driving the remaining cartel members into retreat. El Fuego, wounded but alive, stumbles toward a truck. His men drag him inside, speeding off into the night. Sam watches them go, breathing heavily. They'll be back. Elena wipes blood from her face. Then we'll be ready. The battle is won. But the war isn't over. The first rays of dawn creep over the battered ranch, painting the fields in shades of soft gold and deep crimson. The air is thick with smoke and dust, the remnants of the fierce battle that had just taken place. Sam surveys the land. His land. The barn has bullet holes. Several fences are broken, and the scent of gunpowder still lingers. But the ranch still stands. The surviving cartel members have fled, leaving behind a few of their own, either dead or too injured to escape. Sam's men round them up, securing them with thick ropes near the stable. The sound of sirens grows louder. The sheriff arrives, a little too late. Sheriff Tate steps out of his cruiser, his expression grim as he takes in the destruction. "Sam," he says, shaking his head, "you know I don't have the resources to deal with this level of trouble." Sam nods, his jaw tightening. "And you know El Fuego won't stop." Tate sighs. "I'll do what I can, but the law doesn't reach as far as you'd like it to out here." Sam already knows this. That's why they have to rely on themselves. Nearby, Elena is tending to the horses. She strokes the side of a wounded stallion, whispering soothing words as she wraps a bandage around its leg. The other horses stand calm but alert, watching her with unwavering loyalty. They had fought alongside their humans, and now they needed care too. Miguel watches as well, a flicker of respect in his eyes. "They're more than animals," he says quietly. "They're family." Elena nods. And family doesn't back down. But even as they recover, they all know this isn't the end. Miguel stands before one of the captured cartel enforcers, a man with a bloodied face and hands still trembling from the fight. "You know how this works," Miguel says, his voice low. "Dangerous. You go back. You deliver a message." The enforcer spits blood onto the dirt, glaring up at him. Miguel kneels, his face inches from the man's. "Tell El Fuego that if he comes again, none of you leave alive." The man hesitates, then nods. He understands. This isn't just a ranch, it's a fortress now. Sam watches as Miguel and two ranch hands load the cartel member into an old pickup truck. They drive him to the edge of the county, leaving him to make the long journey back to his boss. El Fuego receives the message loud and clear. At his compound, he rages, smashing a glass against the wall. No one had ever stood up to him like this. But even he isn't foolish enough to ignore the reality. This wasn't just a group of stubborn ranchers. These were warriors. And warriors don't break easily. As the sun sets that evening, Sam and Elena sit on the porch, watching the horses roam the fields. The battle had left scars, but it had also proven something important. They weren't helpless. Sam exhales deeply. "We can't live like this forever. Every night, waiting for the next fight." Elena leans back. "You thinking of leaving?" Sam shakes his head. "I'm thinking of preparing." Miguel walks up, hands in his pockets. "If we don't train others to stand their ground, El Fuego, or someone worse, will just keep coming." A silence falls between them, heavy with meaning. Then, slowly, Elena nods. "Then let's make this place more than a ranch." The decision is made. They won't just protect themselves, they'll protect others. Within weeks, the ranch becomes more than a home. It becomes a training ground. Local ranchers come to learn self-defense. Law enforcement joins them, eager to understand how to handle cartel threats in rural areas. The police horses continue their training, standing as symbols of strength. The word spreads. This ranch isn't just a place of work anymore. It's a line in the sand. A line the cartel will think twice before crossing again. And as Sam, Elena, and Miguel stand together, watching over the land they fought for, they know one thing for certain. This war isn't over. But they're ready. Months have passed since the night of fire and bullets. The ranch, once scarred by battle, now stands stronger than ever. The barn has been rebuilt, the fences restored, and the land thrives beneath the open sky. But the biggest change isn't in the structures. It's in the people. The ranch hands walk with renewed confidence, knowing they stood against one of the most feared cartels and lived to tell the tale. The horses, once merely trained protectors, are now legends in their own right, each one a testament to the resilience of this place. Sam and Elena have barely spoken about El Fuego in weeks, because he hasn't returned. The word is out. El Fuego's men stormed a small ranch and were beaten back. A group of ranchers, a woman with trained police horses, and a former cartel soldier had humiliated them. The streets whisper it, cartel soldiers mumble it under their breath. El Fuego lost. And in their world, looking weak is worse than losing a battle. El Fuego has bigger problems now. Rival cartels smell blood, and his own men begin to question his leadership. The man who once ruled by fear now finds himself fearing his own people. And then there's Miguel's cousin, once a cartel enforcer. He was one of the men who had stormed the ranch that night. But after surviving the battle, after witnessing the strength, the loyalty, the unity of the people here, something inside him changed. One morning, he arrives at the ranch gates, unarmed, alone. Miguel greets him, arms crossed, eyes wary. "You lost." His cousin shakes his head. "No, I'm home. There are no apologies. None are needed. He made his choice, and now he'll spend his days fixing what he once tried to break." The sky is painted in soft gold and orange as the sun rises over the open land. The air is crisp, the earth quiet, the world at peace. Sam rides beside Elena, their horses moving in steady rhythm. Behind them, Miguel and the ranch hands follow, a line of riders stretching across the field. The land is theirs. The fight is over. For now. Because trouble may come again. It always does. But this time, they won't just be ready. They'll be waiting.